everyone, and welcome to episode 544 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week. Kicking things off with the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How are you this fine Monday, Richard?
Good morning, Seth. Catching up on my space fantasy, really not Star Wars or Star Trek set.
No.
Actually, no lightsabers. I'm
No
shocked. I'm
no
shocked.
lightsabers. They're saving that for the universes beyond, I think. I think they're saving that. But we got another co-host in Krim. Good morning, Krim. How's it going today?
It's going well. I'm currently in line.
Yeah, good.
for Sonic.
Gotta go fast.
But yeah, I'm trying to go fast. That's for sure. But the queues aren't. So business as usual. Other than that, I've been pretty excited too on Edge of Eternities.
That's actually a perfect segue into something I wanted to ask you about. I know it's a little early. Our main topic today is going to be Edge of Eternities, of course. We're getting into mechanics and spoilers and all that. But before we get to other stuff, quick question about the Secret Lair drop. So they announced yesterday that they're going to, for the first time, limit Secret Lair drops. So now, if you want to buy the Sonic drop, you can only get 2 of each product. So you can get 2 non-foils, 2 foils, 2 foil bundles, 2 non-foil bundles. Does this matter? I know this is something we've asked for because we had a lot of issues with these popular Lair drops being like sold out and scalped and super long waits. Do you think that's enough of a limit to actually let people get their Secret Lair drops?
I think it's just gonna probably end up being the same. There's still gonna be a lot of people that don't get a lot of stuff, mostly just because even if I don't imagine there's only just one account, one person trying to buy multiples, right? This is definitely like groups of people buying multiples. So
do you know, Richard, with the technology, so a lot of people seem to think that bots are a part of this, right? Like bots buying product. Couldn't you just program your bots to get around that and have a whole bunch of bots buy 2 instead of one bot buy a whole bunch? Or wouldn't the technology work that way?
I mean, you could, but it stops Joe Schmo from doing it, right? And
So
it depends on what the percentage. You know how they're like, whenever there's a sale item at the grocery store or Target or whatever, they're like, limit 1 per person. You could just loop back around and get it again, right? Go to a different cashier. No one's going to notice, but it will keep out like some percentage of people. But there's always people abusing the system, and no matter what you do, they'll manage to abuse it. So I do think it's better, right? It used to be 5, right? So now it's 2. So you have like double the amount of product to go around theoretically. Will it be enough to stop the sellouts? Probably not, because Wizards probably estimates it so that it sells out. You know what I mean? So like no matter what they do, they want it to sell out. So that just like makes it better, but you're still gonna have to fight everyone for it. Do you think they should be more aggressive with the limits? Because I know, Seth, you were mentioning like 1 card per person. Like you get like 1 Sonic, so you can't get the foil and the non-foil, or the foil and then the bundle foil, which is getting you duplicates of the same card.
So my initial take was maybe you do a lower limit, because really you can still buy 8 total of each drop, right? If you get foil, non-foil, bundle, and 2 of each, you're getting like 8 of each drop, which still seems like a pretty big number. So I was thinking maybe I could go less than that, but I was talking to some people on social media, and I don't know how common this is, but there were 2 people that were like very upset because they wanted play sets of the cards. And I don't know why you need play sets of commander only Secret Lair cards, because you don't really play them in formats where you need play sets. So maybe that to me would be the perfect number, that you can get like a play set of what you want, but not more than that, to kind of meet in the middle. But I don't know. I'm just happy that they did something. I feel like the old system was definitely not working, and I think this is an upgrade. It may not actually solve the entire problem, but it gives people a better chance now, at least, of actually getting something. Because I think the problem you want to solve is just like the person that sits in line for 4 hours that just really wants a SpongeBob or really wants their, whatever one drop they like, and then they end up being really disappointed when they can't get it. And I feel like this at least increases odds of those people hopefully getting their drop. So I guess it's something. It's something at least. But anyway, we got a lot of other stuff to get into, like our sponsor. Our show today is brought to you by Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. If you ever get tired of the hassles of buy listing, you can skip them with Conduit. You can use their curated service where you send send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a bit of work, you can use our sorted service where you list and sort your cards in advance and pay just a 2% fee. Either way, you're going to get a detailed report with the results in a fast payment once your order is processed, and you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/MTGGoldfish. Card Conduit, it's the easiest way to sell your Magic cards, so thank you to Card Conduit for supporting the show. Anyway, let's get to our big topic today. So the big topic is we are smack dab in the middle of Edge of Eternities spoiler season. It started last Tuesday, it ends on Friday, and we actually have a pretty big chunk of the set so far. So we're going to go over some new mechanics, some new cards, but before we get into that, what do you guys think of this set? One question in specific I have is there's a lot of debate over whether this would be a hat set, quote unquote, like not Edge of Eternities, a Murders at Karlov Manor or an Outlaws of Thunder Junction, where it's kind of like a bunch of characters throughout the multiverse that put on the hat of whatever setting you're in, and that's the set. For me, it didn't feel that way. To me, this feels like an actual Magic set that's just set in outer space. But I'm curious, what's your take on the flavor now that we've seen a big chunk of this set?
I mean, yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like a gimmick set so far, right? Like it's just like, hey,
It doesn't to me.
like the only character that is kind of like pre-existing as well is Tezzeret, right? Like, so that's the other thing for the most part. I mean, there doesn't seem to be there's a ton of new things, new characters, and that's what helps it make it feel like, not a hat set, right? Like, hey, Jace in space.
Yeah.
This is just a bunch of new characters, a bunch of new worlds. I think the spin, the flavor of the set of like, slivers being like kind of like a nod to xenomorphs. Maybe it's the Kavus that are kind of like Predator, or maybe it's closer to Battlestar Galactica than it is Predator. But then, yeah, like these characters look really intriguing. The art is sci fantasy, and I really, really like that.
The art is some of my favorite from any set. I love space, and like the planets and just the outer space stuff is so cool. So this is some of my favorite art. But Richard, what do you think? Where are you at with the flavor of this set now that we've seen it?
It's definitely not a hat set. I think the actual art is actually really good. I like the treatment as well. The what do they call it? Like the window lands or whatever with the black on the bottom. Look really good. There are some weird things like Krim, the corgi in space that feels out of place.
Robo Corgi?
The random waifus? Like I don't know why we need to put waifus again in the set, like
You're
weird.
telling me you haven't watched Vivi Fluorite's Song? There's tons of good space sci-fi anime.
I'm just saying, like why do we need to ninja in the waifus on like every set? Do we not have enough going for Edge of Eternities? But outside of those two small quips, it feels, I don't know if it feels magic-y, but it doesn't feel like out of place, or it doesn't feel like they low effort, so to speak, like Murders or Ether Drifted. And it doesn't feel like Star Wars or Star Trek either. That was like one of the other things that we kind of memed about. It feels kind of like a legit thing, and there's nods to some of these other things, right? But it's not like, oh, that's a TIE fighter, and that's an X-Wing, and there's Darth Vader, right? It's not like that. So surprisingly refreshing.
The Mario Kart Blue Shell that we saw in Ether Drift was just like kind of some of the references were just so on the nose, and we're not really getting that in this set. The one, if we want to quibble a little bit, the only thing I want to complain about, and I guess you just got to do this to make the cards look right, but it is weird to me if you see a card where there's like a battle scene, like Sunstar Chaplain, I think is the one that sticks out the most. The actual character on the card is just like their face, but then everyone else is fighting in this war has like on full space shoots and the helmets, and I'm like, why does Sunstar Chaplain not have to wear a space helmet when literally all these other people that are fighting with him have to? Like, how does just this work on a physical level? They got their helmet
knocked off.
But don't you just die if you're in space and your helmet's knocked off? Like, I feel like there's a
built
reason
different.
They're on a planet.
They're not if you're built.
Maybe they are dying. You don't know that.
that might be. Anyway, let's get into these cards. So there's a bunch of mechanics in this set. Richard, why don't you guide us through these mechanics with some spoiler cards?
All right. We're gonna start off with I guess technically not a mechanic, but what's the word, Seth? Is it a type? Planets. They're like
it's a land type, yeah.
It's a land type, like Urza's or whatever, right? But they declared that they do nothing. But there's a mythic cycle. They're all planets that really have no impact, but they all have a special thing. So they all enter tapped. They all add a color of their respective colors. And then they have station, and they're all station 12. And station, if you recall, you can tap another creature you control, put a charge counter on it equal to its power, and then you can only do it as a sorcery. And then once you reach the designated cost, which is 12, it gains a new ability. I don't know what the best one is. Maybe Earthros,
You have a
Titanic
Cradle.
God Core, the blue one.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
Tolarian Academy.
Cradle,
It's Tolarian Academy, right? For a blue, you can tap,
Yeah.
add blue for each artifact you control. The green one is Cradle. The white one is, what does it even do?
The white
It
one's
just
kinda
makes a
unique.
copy.
You can copy.
You can
of an
copy,
artifact
yeah.
or
Artifact
enchantment.
for enchantment.
And then the
The bl-
red one, you sack a land, make a 2/2 robot, and then creatures you control get +1/+0 in haste until end of turn. Black one is 2 tap, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power. These are all unplayable, right? In every format. Maybe you can play them in Commander. There's
Okay.
no way you play these
Wait.
in Standard, right?
Well, okay, so standard. I can't imagine this mechanic's as bad as it looks. It can't be as bad as it looks, right? There's no way they made Edge of Eternities, and they just made their biggest mechanic for the set unplayable. I keep thinking it looks like such high numbers when I think about, oh my god, I gotta tap 12 plus power of creatures to turn on a tap land that only makes one color of mana, and then I get some ability out of it. I think, oh my god, there's no way I can play that in Standard. But then when I think about it, I'm like, there's no way they made this mechanic unplayable. You can't tap your summoning set creatures. If you build around it with big creatures, it seems like it's kind of easy to turn on. I think I don't want to write it off. I think they're good in Commander, and I think the best of them, which for me are probably the white and the blue ones actually for Standard, because they work really well with the construct tokens and the artifact decks, which are pretty big and can help turn them on. I think they could see play, but I'm curious what you think, Grim. Like, is this just a throwaway mechanic for 60 card formats?
No. I mean, think about Warp, right? Another mechanic in the set, right? Like now I'm able to play like some giant body creature, which with the way Warp works, right? You get to cast it and then for some reduced cost, and then at the exile the creature at the beginning of the next end step, meaning you still have all of your turn to now use the giant body that Warp just put into play. And then it synergizes all with that, right? And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, maybe the new Goyf will also help with that too.
The problem
But
is
yeah.
Warp cards are unplayable. So Warp is like Evoke, right? Like it's the new Evoke, whereas
Sure.
instead of it going away, it goes to exile, you cast it. So you could theoretically warp in a 6/6 for like 3 mana, use it for its ETB, which I think so far they've all been kind of sus and not that good, but use it for the ETB, and then you tap it to put like 6 counters onto your space station, right? The problem is you go through all of this, you're only halfway there, right? And then if you do it again, you still don't win the game, right? Like all you've done is just like gotten a cradle or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't win the game on the spot after all this work. And I think the big problem is no playable warp cards. Like there has to be a broken warp card, and there is one, but it has haste. And in which case you want to attack with it, right? Like the good ones have haste and you want to attack with them. So it's weird. Like I kind of agree with Seth. Like, why would you waste 5 mythics on this cycle if it's gonna be utterly unplayable? But Commander, everyone's like,
okay.
That's Cradle, right? Like every time we get something that looks like a Cradle, everyone goes nuts in Commander, right? So I can see how this looks like a Cradle in Commander. You play a Haunted Wumpus. What's the Haunted Horror in Commander? Drop a 7/7 on turn 2 and start like crewing your station here. That's gotta be what they're going after, right?
Are they not just good in Commander? I feel like in Commander, if I just think about a Commander game, you got 40 life, people build up pretty big boards. To me, I'm not very intimidated, in Commander in specific, at tapping 12 power creatures to actually turn these on. And then I think you get a pretty big reward, like Cradle's a big reward, Tolarian Academy is a big reward. The red one, I think, is pretty jank. Like that one, I don't really see the appeal of that one, but that's normal, right? That red gets the short end of the stick in land cycles. We've been doing that ever since Urza's Saga. But I think in Commander, these cards got to be good at a minimum, right? Even if they don't make it in Standard, are they really bad in Commander too, Cram?
I think these look amazing in Commander, right? Except for the red one. I think the red one's
The
pretty
red
bad.
one, just like, play a Castle Embreth and you avoid all the heartache.
I had to sack a land to like make that robot, right? So like if you're a robot deck and that's what you're trying to do, then this is the time of your life. But other than that, I think the other 4 are really good. But I'm not gonna write these off in Standard just because I feel like this is gonna be easier to hit than you would think.
You
It's a
can
tap
tap summoning
land,
sick
too.
creatures.
It's a tap land too, though.
It is.
But you don't
It
have
has
you
so
don't have
much
to have it
downside.
be you don't have to have it be untapped to station.
No,
That's
but
true.
Right?
But
So-
you do
although-
want like untapped mana sources, right? Like
I
it's
will
not like
say-
a free roll, right?
The adventure lands from Final Fantasy do make me a little nervous because I feel like those being tapped has made them a lot worse than I was thinking they were going to be. I thought they were going to be really good, like MDFC level lands. And now I feel like they're kind of mediocre. Even in decks, like I played a Sephiroth deck where I was like, wow, the black one, this Axe to Draw cards is so perfect for this deck. And even there, I ended up cutting down to 1 copy. And even then, I kind of wanted to cut the 1 copy because it just is so clunky. So I am a little bit worried about the tap level, the tapness of the lands. I think that is a big cost in Standard, but I still think it might be easier. Like, think of the Simulacrum Synthesizer decks. It's pretty easy for that deck to be making like an 8/8 construct or whatever. Wouldn't it be easy to turn on the blue one or the white one if you wanted to in a deck like that? So yeah, you can just jam them in any deck, but if you build around them a little bit, I think you can turn them on. I don't know, is it going to be worth it? That's a whole nother question, but I think it might be fine for Standard.
We just
The
got
red
the blocking
one,
guy.
I
Now we're
don't-
like, sorry, I just want to block anyway. Rest all my creatures.
The red one I don't see me wanting to play in Standard. But the black one seems like it's going to be hard to get. That's the one that I think is hard to hit because I don't know of many black decks that are going to easily get 12 plus, right? Because what is it? Souls of the Lost is also rotating. So even if you wanted to be cute, maybe Golgari, I don't know, self-mill with Diamond Weapon, right? Like that could work. And then Roots just doesn't care because Roots will just win the game,
Crim.
right?
Yeah.
Crim. I actually think black might be the most playable because you play it as like Nephalia Drownyard. Like it's like
Sure.
the slowest win con you've thought of in your life, where you play like a 1/1, you have full control of the board, station 1, right? Station 1, station 2, 6 turns later, you're like, yeah, you're out of the game, right? Like Nephalia Drownyard style, right? Like, so that might actually be plausible, but I don't think those kind of decks exist in Standard, right? Because 1 bomb that you didn't answer and the game is over. So I don't know that you can go super long like that anymore, but maybe it's actually doable as a super slow finisher.
You think the
I could
black
see
one is the
that.
one you're most likely to see get?
Well, I
get
think
12
blue.
plus.
Blue is most likely because like of the construct tokens. And
Okay.
the payoff is actually kind of worth it. Everything else, the payoff doesn't look worth it. Like, for green, if you've
The
somehow
white one?
managed to station this but not won the game, did you need like more creatures, like more mana to
I-
cast creatures?
I actually
Well,
think the white one's good.
The
The
white
problem I
one's
see with the
good.
white one, though, is like you need big creatures to turn it on, and then you need artifacts and enchantments to copy with it. So it's going to be a little tricky to like find a deck that hits all the marks to make it work. But I think 4-tap copy a artifact or enchantment's actually like a pretty powerful ability.
Just as like a grind out win con, like mono white control. Again, you just like
you
slowly.
copy the caretaker's talent, and then that can
Yep.
copy the fill stuff, the fill shenanigans.
Like
You
I
copy your
feel
caretaker's
that's the
talent,
way
just keep
these cards are
copying
meant to
it,
play.
and-
Like it's super slow, and you just grind them, and you do like the most non-impactful play you can think of. Like you just copy like a 1/1, draw a card with caretaker's talent, and then keep going, as opposed to station all these, untap, tap them, win the game. I feel that is like kind of unlikely, but I could see like
Yeah.
mono white token control using this thing to like close out the game.
Yeah, just slowly with your 1/1s from your carrot cake, eventually turning it on, and then it's going to
Make
take
everyone
over the
regret
game.
mono
you're-
red,
you're-
dear God. Let me lock you
It
in here
is-
as I grind out 1/1 tokens to kill you.
Could you
Is
imagine how?
Biza not just crazy with this though? Because if you are behind, you get 6 power. You play Biza, you now get to like tap. Like I'm saying, behind on
You're
board.
behind and you want to tap your precious blocker.
Yeah.
How-
Yeah, because I'm not talking about like my health total, right? The 4 is enough padding. I'm talking about like you're behind on board. And so now I get to just go ahead and play Beza. I get 2 1/1s and the Beza itself. So
You
that's
Beza,
6.
untap Beza, and then use the land immediately.
Yeah.
I can see
Or
that
like
if you have the luxury of doing that.
Overlord the Miss Moors, is that the
Yeah,
one? That one also can
Overlords.
turn it on like relatively
You
quickly.
can also
So
copy Overlord.
oh yeah,
Wait.
copying Overlord's kind of sweet. That's not bad.
You can use the impending things? No, right?
No, not while they're impending. They're
Okay,
not
okay.
creatures,
No,
so you
but
can't tap them. But you'd have to
Just the
actually full
tokens.
price them or use the tokens.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I will say it's good they ban stuff because these cards would could you imagine the last meta pre-bans? They would be way too slow for me to even be thinking about. But in the post-ban meta, I'm like, I don't think they're going to be great, but I don't want to write them off completely yet. I feel like they got to play better than they look.
You also have to remember and take into account one last thing is that we are rotating. We have a giant rotation coming up. So a lot of stuff is falling off, and I'm curious what the new format looks like.
I
Yeah,
actually think
but
we already
just-
rotated with the bannings, and that the actual rotation is like pretty close to meaningless if you look at the top decks. Like there's not much that's actually leaving. Like people don't
On
play
a
many cards from the sets that are rotating.
I feel like in a competitive sense, a lot of cards are leaving. Right? We're losing Fairy Mastermind. We're losing a lot of we're losing Cut Down. So the best removal being one of the best 1-mana removals being gone does change the format, right? Like by a landslide, by what you can and can't play. So I feel like there's a lot still to happen and change.
We'll see.
True.
We'll see.
But it's just fundamentally it doesn't make any sense. It's like vehicles, right? It's like you have to tap 12 power worth of creatures to get this done, right? And that's a lot of wasted resource to turn this on. Kind of like vehicles where you need a second body to crew the thing, to get the thing. So it has to be like smuggler copters level of like broken to be worth. So I'm not convinced just because fundamentally it doesn't seem to make any sense.
If you want the downside case, it's battles for me, I think. Like that's the disaster case for these cards. As it turns out that just like it's not worth tapping down your creatures to turn them on, which is kind of what happened with battles, right?
Yeah.
Is it just ended up not being worth attacking battles. So no one ever did it. It does help that you can tap down summoning sick creatures though. So I don't think it's as bad as battles, but I think that's like the worst case.
Battles was
let's keep going on the station train. We have Spacecraft. And remember that with this set, legendary Spacecraft, asterisk that can become creatures can be your commander. there is one that cannot become a creature, the elevator thing. So Wizards had to make it
I
even
made
more
that
confusing.
mistake, yes.
Yeah. Okay, Extinguisher Battleship, I think, is the more playable one here. It's an 8-mana spacecraft. Actually, I'm not sure this is playable at all. When the spacecraft enters, destroy target non-creature permanent. Then this spacecraft deals 4 damage to each creature. It has station. The station is 5+. It becomes a flying trample, 10/10.
Okay, hold on. This is why don't you think this is good?
It's 8 mana. I mean,
It is
wait,
a lot
wait,
of
wait.
mana.
you
Wait,
gotta
wait,
get to
wait,
8
wait, wait.
mana.
Wait, I assume we're talking about standard then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. In standard, we'll
Even
we'll
in
see,
Commander or
like,
something. Like, I don't know. Where would you... Are you going to Tron this in? Where would you play this, crew?
I mean, is this not just a sweet, like, I don't know, Cityscape leveler? If you're playing Cityscape leveler, anything along those lines, like it's one more than like the Golem, right? The Meteor Golem. So I don't view this as that crazy of a thing to play in
Meteor
Commander.
Golem, but it's
I
hard
could-
to... Can you blink? You can blink it. It's a space.
You
it's
can
an
blink.
artifact.
It's nice that it's any non-creature, so you can hit lands with it, which is something Cityscape Leveler was missing. 4 damage, is that enough of a sweeper? That was my first thought for Commander, was like, it's colorless, right? And we often talk about Ugins or Boom Piles showing up in colorless decks just because you don't have that many sweepers in colorless. Do you think 4 damage is enough, Crim and Richard, to make this like a sweeper for the decks that are lacking in removal in Commander?
Every commander
It's
is like a
more
2/5 for
so-
no reason nowadays. It's like a
it's
3-mana 2/5. You're like, why?
But it's something, because I think the main thing is that enough of these and like redundant effects, redundancy in colorless is good, right? Because right now colorless doesn't have much of anything. So just having more of it, even if it's not a full sweeper, it's better than nothing. So, and you're still picking off the best non-creature permanent, right? So why not try to do all of that? And also the spacecraft being only 5+ is kind of nuts. It's actually not that hard to get to 5. That's like tap my commander, essentially.
It is funny though. Like, yes, that is one of the upsides. Is only 5. Although, if it rests your board, it's going to be hard to turn it on the turn that you play it. But I think you can turn it on
Sure.
the next turn pretty easily by like playing a creature, and then you have a 10/10, which is actually legit big body. Also good, like it's blinkable, so that's something.
Yes.
It's panharmonicable, so that's something. So I think in certain decks, colorless decks, I think would definitely play this, and I'm interested in it in some of those like a mono blue deck that's late on sweepers or whatever, a mono red deck. I think I would consider, like, it gets rid of any non-creature permanent. So this solves your like remove an enchantment in red while also giving you like
When's the
a
last time you played
pseudo.
Meteor Golem in a mono blue deck that wasn't explicitly
Eh,
made to blink?
But this is a
Panharmonicon, right?
spacecraft, Richard. It's a spacecraft.
Oh God,
I
you
mean,
guys are cracking me up. Look, Oblivion Stone exists. You don't like the RNG of blue pile, right? Like you can do it. You
But
can
why not
ratchet
have
bomb.
more-
I think is more effective than the
Do you-
extinguisher
do
battle.
you not
Why
put-
not have more of it?
Do you not put any value in getting a big creature though? Like
No,
tap
0.
5 power a creature to get a 10/10. That's flying trample. That's not bad, is it?
I think
0.
it's pretty good.
I mean, it's
What
okay, but I would rather just play something more towards what my deck is trying to do. You know what I mean?
What
Rather
about-
than backup plan.
Yeah, that's true. What about standard, Grim and Richard? Like ramp decks. Could ramp decks play this? Can
Sure.
you ramp into it? Like we got Ugin decks, we got a bunch of colorless ramp. You can play into something like that. You could maybe the Overlord of the Mistmore or Hauntwoods deck where you're ramping there. Like I could see playing it as a one of.
I mean, yeah, like I think in those decks, the ramp decks are going to be very. This is not a real 8-drop, right? I don't think anybody's fairly getting to 8 mana and playing this, but I do see that there's a world where you could also reanimate it, just because we still have artifact reanimation, and this is like your reanimation target to get a sweeper or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that.
That could work if we can ramp. Because you ramp, you blow up the board. If it actually clean sweeps the board, you untap, you play a 5 power creature, crew, smack them, they're on a 2-turn clock, right? So, but can you actually ramp and cast this, and will it actually stabilize? I have no idea. It seems unlikely to me, but maybe we're slow enough that you can actually get there.
Is 4 damage enough is the biggest question. Does it kill enough of this stuff, or
Well,
do you leave behind a bunch of stuff?
There
I
could be
think?
a single 5/5 or something, right? You snipe that with the ability, and then you 4 everything else. But if
Yeah.
the whole board is just all 5/5s, then you're kind of toast, right? So it kind of depends on what we're looking at, or if everything's like 1/1 hasties, right? Like you rat the board, they untap it, they just smack you with like
They
6
still
haste and
kill
kill
you.
you anyway, right? Like that's not good
Yeah.
enough. Okay, so warp. We alluded to the warp mechanic. It comes on Nova Hellkite. So 5 mana, it's red with double pips, 4/5, flying haste, dragon. When this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target creature and opponent controls. And then warp for 3. You may cast this card from your hand for its warp cost, exile this creature at the beginning of the next end step. Then you may cast it from exile on a later turn. So on turn 3, you warp this, you smack him with the 4/5 in the air, ping something. And then on turn 5, you can cast it again, this time as a permanent creature, 4/5 smack. 1 card, 8 damage, 2 pings. It's gotta
I
be
mean,
good.
I think
card-
this card is very good.
Card's
This
very
card
good.
is very good.
I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the hasty 5 mana flying dragons be good in the past, and the fact that you can put this in for 3 mana and smash in for some damage is a really, really big upside. I don't know how much the 1 damage is going to matter. It's kind of matchup dependent. If you're sniping like a Llanowar Elves, it's going to feel great. Other matchups, the ping isn't going to do anything, but you don't really care just because it's just got really good base stats. Like it's very flexible thing to warp. I really like the warp mechanic. I think the warp mechanic's actually very good. It's almost like, I don't know what to compare it to exactly. It's kind of like Evoke is the most obvious comparison, but it's like Evoke mixed with Adventures almost, where you get to play the card later. And you get this like nice curve filling aspect where this can be your 3-drop and it can be your 5-drop. So you're always going to have something to do. So I actually think it's just a very good mechanic. If it's put on a good card. Some of the warp cards, I read them and I'm like, I just don't know if the card itself is good enough. But I think the mechanic's strong.
I think this is probably one of my favorite recent mechanics, right? It plays real nice so far, like in theory, right? Like you look at it and it just, like you had mentioned, it curves out. It helps you curve out, and that just feels so good, right? Obviously, Nova Hellkite is the best warp card we've seen so far because it's the only one with haste. But, like, I don't know, maybe haste enablers and things like that can turn other warp cards into something else themselves. But right now, like, I really like how warp looks. So, yeah, I'm excited to test this out in a current standard environment. And it also seems like it'd be kind of fun to play in limited.
And as you mentioned before, works well with the station mechanic, right? You can warp
Yeah.
something, especially in non-hasty ones. You can tap it to get some counters on your stuff. Also kind of cute with Cast from Exile, which we've seen more like Quintorius is still in standard and cares about stuff being cast from Exile. So there's some extra synergies you get from warp there too, where eventually you're going to be able to cast it from Exile.
I think when I read this card, I didn't realize it had haste, and I'm like, what is this unplayable trash?
Yeah, you really
Right?
did say that, I guess.
Right? But then it has haste. You're like, wow, this is amazing, right? One card, 8 damage. There's a Skewer the Critics looking card in the set too. I think if you just curve like Nova Hellkite into a second copy of Nova Hellkite, like people just like, their decks that just cannot deal with this, right? And then you basically are playing like 3 mana, 4/5 flying haste, right? And that's pretty good. So I think this is gonna bring red back if red has left, but we'll see. Maybe we still need to do the mouse thing, right? I don't know, right? Maybe like
also-
there's a synergy like combo in red that you would do rather than just like this pure brute force like 1 card 8 damage type of thing.
How much it'll matter, I'm not sure, but it also synergizes with the void mechanic too. Like a lot of the mechanics in the set, like kind of tie together in some way or another. I don't know if we're actually going to see standard decks that are like warping to turn on void, but maybe.
Oh, speaking of void, wait, what was our void card, Seth?
A Feriel Stone Chosen.
5 mana, 3/3. Ward, discard a card at random. Okay, cool. Void. When Ephariel attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life. So it's like Revolt, like the mechanic on Fatal Push, except it's non-land permanent and it includes warp.
I feel like non-land revolt is way worse than land revolt because especially if you look at older formats, the way people
for
turn on
older
revolt
formats,
most
definitely.
commonly is just crack a fetch land. How do you think this is gonna play? Like, so the card, obviously 5 mana 3/3, not great. Ward, really good. Graveyard Trespasser Ward, but like plus because it's random discard, which is way better than controlled discard. And then if you get to attack with this, you get an unstoppable slasher that doesn't even have to connect. You just have to attack with it. How easy is it going to be to trigger Void, though? Like, if I want to play this in a generic, like, black midrange deck, Dimir midrange deck, can I just trust that Void's going to trigger? Or do I need to be playing warp cards in my deck, or be playing sack fodder and sack outlets in my deck to actually turn on Void? Like, how hard do you think it is to be Void?
I mean, Umbral Collar Zealot, the uncommon, that's the free sack outlet that allows you to surveil. That is going to be, that card is definitely a piece of whatever Void is, right? If Void exists, it's because of that card.
So basically, you got to build around it to some extent, you would say.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't just jam this and trust that you're going to get Void throughout the game just naturally.
So
it's not
this is an attack
like
trigger,
Revolt.
So it's hard. But if you're a red deck or an aggressive deck, you can get Void through combat. You know what I mean? Like, people trade off creatures. It also counts your opponent's things. So if you have a Void card that is not on attack, I think you don't need to work as hard to turn it on. But because this one you specifically wanted pre-combat, then it's kind of tough, right? But is it that tough though? You have removal. You just fire off removal on your opponent's stuff and like there we go, right? So like it's not crazy. I just think the card sucks though. It's a 5 mana 3/3, like do nothing, but I think you can get Void relatively easily. Like I don't know that's gonna be that difficult.
I think the card also is weak, right? In that, like, you're spending 5 mana to get Nowhere to Run, right? Like, in a world where this card takes off, Nowhere to Run becomes a 4/of, right? Like, so that is where it's a little problematic in that and power level. But the mechanic of Void, I think, could take off depending on, like, it is in the primo color to have permanents leave the battlefield. So that's the one thing that's nice. Do I think this exact card is good? No, because this is just going to get answered immediately and very easily.
It just doesn't have enough stats to really be a good card, right? Like, it was a 5 in a 5/5 or something, maybe. Yeah,
would've
even
taken it
just to
3
get
for
out of
just-
nowhere to run range would be enough.
Yeah, like if I'm
It
playing
was like
this
a
5 mana
5/5 or
spell,
6/6. It's not good enough, right?
There are a lot of
Really?
combos. We got, what's the unstoppable slasher? Bloodleader of Eklazats.
Yep.
We still got that with unstoppable slash. I've been seeing more of that on the ladder too since we had the bannings. Like people have went back to like trying to pull off that combo. So maybe
Yeah.
in something like that, like you don't care that its stats are bad because one attack wins you the game and it doesn't even have to connect. But yeah, in general, I don't think this is like a staple or anything.
I mean, I would
5
just
drops needs
sooner
to win the game.
unlock.
Right? Not even set up like
Yeah.
the double damage thing is like a 3-card combo, right? Because you need this, the double damage, and a card to trigger Void, right? Like that's a lot of work. So
Too many
I
hoops.
I seriously think if it's a 5/5, it's still unplayable. Like it kind of needs to win the game if left unchecked as a 5-drop, and this is like actually not really.
Yeah.
Hear me out though. I actually think I'm happy that it isn't that, because I think we need a lot less of those 1-card win the game engines,
Yeah.
right? So I think this is, if anything, whatever this post, like, remember again, we kind of talked last podcast about like what Wizards envisions in a 3-year standard. If this set is powering down and a sign of things to power stuff down, that might be better. That might be for the better of things. So maybe this deck or this whole set isn't going to be like, oh my God, the most busted set of all time, but that might be for the better of Standard's health. So if this set goes down a little in power, I'm okay with it. And if a format where Alpharel Stone Chosen becomes the truth is probably a healthier format, right?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
Your 5-drop.
I don't know
trades
what
with
format that would be,
2-drop in
but-
the set. Okay, like
I mean, yeah, that
No
part will
way.
always be problematic, but like,
No way.
like if there's a world where I would think about playing this card, that's probably a good thing. We've talked about like slowing down the format anyways to not dying on turn 3, which we can still do, by the way. But the main thing is, like, if we're talking about slowing down the format, maybe this is the direction we should be going anyways.
All right.
I agree philosophically, but the only problem is there's so many sets in Standard that it's hard for me to imagine Wizards printing like 18 power down sets in a row. So instead, I figure what happens is if you power down a set, then that set just gets forgotten, and the next overpowered set is what everyone plays.
After the 10th Mythic Alfario, I'm on board, Krim.
Then I've
when you
never-
show me that,
never
but you know
sold.
next set there's going to be a VV or a Corey Steel Cutter or something.
Sure.
And I don't think this set is underpowered, by the way. Just so
I
that-
don't- I
the
don't
card
either.
is underpowered, but like the set as a whole, I don't think is like super underpowered or anything.
All right, last mechanic is a lander token. So Sunstar Expansionist, 1 and a white. It's a 2/3 human knight. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more lands than you, create a lander token. And that's an artifact. The 2 and tap, sack it, search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle. So rampant growth. And then landfall, when a land you control enters, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
I mean, okay, so Lander
bad.
tokens, I was hyped about Lander tokens. I was really hoping we were going to see them push them into like other colors for Commander, like blue and black and red more. So far, most of them are green and white, which is kind of the colors you'd expect. I think they're cool. I'm curious what you guys think of this card in specific, because we play a lot of Loyal Warhounds. We play a lot of these white catch-up ramp creatures. When I see this card, is it on the level of those other 2-drops that just straight up catch up ramp? So you have to play this 2-drop, then you got to spend 2 more mana to actually do the rampant growth, so it's kind of 4 mana altogether. But you also get an artifact on the battlefield. You can crack that later when you got the time. Is this a like staple catch up ramp spell in Commander?
I like this as a idea. So essentially, what every one of these lander tokens are just like a rampant growth.
They're all a
Well,
rampant growth. Yep.
It's like
So-
a clue, but instead of drawing a card, it rampant growths you.
That might be better than a clue, right? That
Yeah.
in some situations that might actually just be better, because if this were like a map where it puts it into your hand, that's
Oh, it'd be unplayable. Yeah.
But like this rampant growth thing, I kind of like this mechanic a lot, and mostly importantly, just because it's not in green. So seeing
Cost
this
you
right
4
now,
mana
is-
though to make the expansionist be down on lands and then make the rampant growth token, right?
But Richard, it's not in green. It can't be better than green or as.
But we're
good
in
as
white,
green,
and
right?
white has all the catch-up ramp you could possibly want, which is why I don't think it's good unless you are Caretaker's talenting doing some weird Lonus type, like doing a fill thing, you might actually play this, but in the
Is it-
general sense, like just play Loyal Warhound and call it a day, right? Like,
Well, but Loyal Warhound, right, is like also a 3/1. I think this being a 2/3, I like a lot more. Even though doesn't Loyal Warhound might have
Yeah,
first strike, but whatever. The main
it's
thing
2
here,
mana though versus 4.
Yeah.
but
for
this
getting
this
the
is
land,
a
right?
2 mana body. This also just has more effects attached to it, right?
Yes.
It isn't just the Loyal Warhound, and on top of that, I kind of catch-up ramp requires you to be behind. This is nice where I don't have to be behind
No,
to
no,
get
it's
value
catch-up ramp.
off of my. It
No,
still
so
is.
when it
Oh,
it's still
enters,
catch
you
up
only
ramp,
make the
yeah, if you don't
lander
get the
if you
token.
have
If
less
you have
lands than
less.
opponent.
Oh,
But once
yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
the
okay.
lander, you're free to crack it whenever you want.
That part is kind of neat, right? Like, so as long as you're behind when you play it, then you can still crack the lander, even if you're ahead on lands or at parity later. So that is a bit of an upside.
Sure.
I don't think it's
It's still-
horrible, but
It
I
still
think
can't
it's
be
like,
better than green. That's the
yeah.
one thing. So
It can't be better. It can't be better than greed. I was really so if this card was like blue, oh my god, I would be all about this card. Like if it was in one of the colors that really struggled with ramping. In white, I feel like there's enough other ramp spells that this is kind of like
Yo,
right on the
you gotta
edge.
dunk an O'Hare Axnal. You're gonna spend 4 mana to ramp in blue? Okay, son. I will say it's
But-
basic though. So like
It
Royal
is basic.
Warhound is like one good card on the chopping block. We have enough catch-up ramp now in white that that just specify planes, so you don't need to get only basics. But I think this is trash in Commander. I wouldn't play this. Is this just not good in Standard? It's like it has landfall +1/+0. It's a 2 mana 3/3. It like kind of
It's-
attacks. It gets you to
That's where
land if you need.
that's where the stats actually matter to me more. In Commander, 3/1, 2/3, they're all dorky creatures that don't actually matter to me. But in
is
Standard,
that
if you
true? Because we've not swung into a solemn for a million years, and
That's
hell, we haven't
because
even
of the
swung
card
into a
draw.
spirited companion. So 2/3 is like pretty much. Oh my god, an
That is-
Eldrazi Titan is
it
on
is.
the board.
Okay,
So-
that is
It's uncontested in the early game.
and the late game and the mid game in our pod. I don't know. I've seen us not attack.
My concern with it in Standard is just I don't know what deck you play this in. I feel like in a ramp deck it might be too inconsistent, and in an aggro deck
Is
I don't want to
Circle of
ramp
Loyalty
aggro.
in the format?
No,
Because what if you curve
unfortunately.
Sunstar Expansionist into Dion? Fabulous dominant. It becomes a 3/3 flyer.
We do have a bunch of night payoffs. Maybe Knights could be a thing. Maybe they could be
I
a
got
thing.
it. I already got it because I noticed y'all didn't mention it in this. But my boy Regust, Deft Gastronaut, Red White Boros, artifacts you control are foods in addition to other types, and they have pay 2, sack it, gain to 3 life. But you can spend 1 mana tap and tap Regust to sack a food to deal 3 damage to each opponent. And at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life, you untap him. So hear me out. Boros Burn with a
combo.
bunch of artifacts, right? You've got weapons manufacturing. Dude, this little guy pooping out a little lander token? You mean a food token? You mean the thing that I'm going to send upstairs at your face? I mean, like, okay, it's a pipe dream, but I'm just saying weapons manufacturing could make it a even though weapons manufacturing only gives you the munitions for non-token creature things or non-token artifacts entering. The main thing here is Regust is going to like that as it wants artifacts. And a lander token's kind of nice because of that.
I mean, there are decks that just want an artifact on the battlefield, and if that's
Yeah.
something your deck's doing, then like this goes up definitely in value. Although we still have like the map to makers and so forth, so you'd have to look and see what else can like just make a random token.
Sure.
But I think that is part of the reason to be excited about the card. No,
The problem is
Not
like
doing
you
it.
want to go second, and like that's already like negative 10% win rate in Standard, right? Like
yeah.
if you go first, you got to play this on your 3 mana turn, so you're playing off curve, and you probably lost if you've done that anyway. So I don't. It's just this awkward thing where it's hard to turn on the catch up ramp part. You really want to go second, and who wants to do that? Like that seems
What-
terrible.
So let's just write this card off for a moment. What do you think of Biotech Specialist, which was the other lander card I had on the list? That one's a Gruul card, a 2-mana Gruul card. So red and green for a 1/3 insect scientist. When it enters, you get the lander token. No catch-up ramp or anything. You just get the token. And then when you sack an artifact, it deals 2 damage to target opponent. I feel like this card's actually kind of insane. Like I feel like this card's just straight up busted.
Wait, Seth, are you talking about another card that goes wonderful with Food Fight? The wonderful enchantment from Wilds of Eldraine? Yes, you are talking about another card like that.
So yes, it does go well with Food Fight. It would probably work in the weapons manufacturing kind of deck you were just talking about. Like, it would work there. I think the crazy thing about this card, though, is it doesn't say non-token or anything. You can just sack treasures and deal 2 for every one. Is this not like Mayhem Devil plus? Like, is this not a competitive card, even back to older formats, maybe? I feel like this card is actually just like legit, like super push.
I think this
How
card
many treasures can you make in standard? what is like the treasure pooping mechanic? Because
you already make a lander.
You make a lander,
like,
sack it, get 2.
Right home about. But if you can somehow just make 6 treasures and then make bam, 12 damage, like that's kind of funny.
You don't even think this is just like on its own, right? Let's just say right now on turn 2, I play this, I get a lander. Now I have an artifact that I can sack, deal 2, and just rampant growth.
I would be fist pumping unless you had some weird combo deck I didn't know about. You're gonna turn 2, 1/3, deal me 2 damage. Like,
I don't know. That's kind of good, right?
Is
like,
it
kind of insane? Just as a creature on its own, I'm not even like thinking too much about like anything beyond just paying 2 mana for this. Dude, this does a lot.
But then you're gonna
for
rampant growth the following turn, like what? Like,
and
you can
deal
just play
2?
a 2 mana 3/2 and hit me for 3 damage, and I'd be like, okay, you know.
But you gotta remember too that ramping in standards 3 mana. So there's one like Glimpse of the Core can get a basic forest for 2 mana, but in general 3 mana.
But that only gets the forest into hand.
Glimpse of Core puts it into play tapped, actually.
Oh wait, no, you're right.
Yeah,
Glimpse of the Core,
it only gets a basic forest, but this card I feel like because the going rate is 3 for ramp, paying 4 to ramp and having it split up between 2 turns and having a 1/3 body and getting some damage, I'd be interested in this in a ramp deck in standard. Like it puts an early body on the battlefield for you to block. You can always ramp later, so I feel like it just does enough that in a deck that wants to ramp, I would play this in standard.
It's
you
a
have the
helper
Teamer
card.
Landfall package, right? Like in standard, that's been waiting. Like, what's the all-out assault or whatever? The Teamer 6-drop from Tarkir.
Ooh.
Shit, you remember that old set from like years ago, Tarkir? Yeah, like Tarkir has a lot of stuff that could play with this, and then all the Chocobo stuff potentially.
Chocobo stuff, being able to just crack the map. Is the map? I gotta double check this. It doesn't say sorcery speed, does it? It does not say sorcery speed. So you can
what for the lander?
For the lander tokens, yeah. So you
no,
can
it does not.
You can do it anytime you want.
Speed.
So you can crack that combat to trigger landfall and stuff. There's some cool synergies. I like the mechanic. I like it.
Yeah, I think this card is sick.
So if you're ramping into something legit, like there's a prime time sitting around, then great, right? But I don't think it itself is the core of some kind of crazy engine.
We have our prime time in Famished World, sire. We already have prime time, of course. I know you love this card. Think of all the lands.
Okay. Speaking of cards I love. Okay, is this hat setty, guys? Why is there a Lurgoyf in space? Cosmogoyf. Green, black, star, and then 1+ star toughness. Elemental Lurgoyf. This creature's power is equal to the number of cards you own in exile, and its toughness is equal to that number +1.
I mean, this is kind of sick with warp, right? Like with warp, and then I mean, if you want to be cute, you can rest in peace. So
warp feels so slow to me, but yes, it does like
warp
slowly add
gives you +1 though.
exile.
It's not like it gives you the power.
It's kind of cool. It's cool though.
If you want to play it in standard, I got it in standard. Collect Evidence is how you break this card in standard.
Oh,
Because Collect Evidence, you can over exile. Like when it says Collect Evidence 8, what it actually means is 8 or more. So you can just exile your entire graveyard for like 1 mana with a Collect Evidence card. So I think that could actually make this card kind of good in standard. In older formats, there's also like Spoils of the Vault and like Demonic Consultation. These cards that for 1 mana can essentially exile most of your deck and make this like a 2 mana 20/20 40/40. I think the card actually has shenanigans. I think this card might actually be playable.
Hear me out. You know what it also synergizes with for on curve, by the way? Ghost Vacuum.
Oh, yes,
baby,
and
I love me my Ghost Vacuum.
And Ketramos Crypt. Maybe we have an Abzan Cosmogoyf Ketramos deck in standard with Ghost Vacuums. I could see that.
Exactly, dude. And the best part is you can get those cards back
coming
later.
RCQ. What happened? My hand was just 2 Ghost Vacuums that died. What happened? Well, it was like land, Cosmogoyf, land. and then I die.
Dude,
Like,
do not disrespect the Ghost Vacuum. That card is standard all-star.
yeah, but
It
you can't
actually is
play
kinda
a critical
good.
mass of do-nothing cards.
Is this card good in older formats, Richard? Because when I saw this, I was like, all right, we have Tarmogoyf in Modern, but Tarmogoyf gets really sad when your graveyard gets shut down by things going to exile. Can you, like, play this in your Goyf decks to play around the hate? Like, do you remember, oh no, what's the 4-mana Crackling Drake? Where, like, Phoenix decks in Pioneer will play Crackling Drake because it grows based on things in exile as a sideboard plan to bring it in when people bring in graveyard hate. Could we see something like that happen with Cosmogoyf in Modern and Goyf decks?
So this is not Tarmogoyf in any way whatsoever, but it could see play, okay? Let me explain to you how Tarmogoyf actually works. Tarmogoyf is like Delver of Secrets, okay? You play it, and then you murder them by turn 4. Otherwise, you're going to lose the game, right? So you need to turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Tarmogoyf, and now it's a 4/5 magically because you Thoughtseized, right? Without the Thoughtseize, your Goyf is like utterly useless, right? So to get Cosmogoyf going, you need to like somehow fill it relatively quickly for preferably 1 or 2 mana. I don't see how that's possible, but maybe
That's
there's some
your
combo
exile.
deck where you, I don't know, turn 4, somehow like exile half your deck, slap a Goyf in with
Tainted
haste and
Pact, you're
kill him.
saying?
Yeah, like
I think
maybe
we
there's
broke-
some weird
Taint
combo.
Pact can do it.
But
We
it is
finally
not
broke Tainted
the
Pact.
2 mana 4/5 5/6, and I'm gonna beat you down. Like this thing takes forever to come online and requires like a combo to do it. So it is not Tarmogoyf in any way, but maybe there's some kind of weird combo you can do with it to get it done.
I mean, didn't I don't know if you remember this, but when Tarmogoyf was revealed, that card was also deemed unplayable.
It
That
was.
is-
that
People
is
didn't
true.
understand how fast you could fill the graveyard, right? So maybe if
Right.
there's a 1 mana play that somehow like powers this thing up to like good levels, then we could be talking, right? And it's not Ghost Vacuum Crim, but maybe there's something like that can be done, right?
Ghost Vacuum is
Ghost
so
Vacuum
good,
is actually
Richard.
really good. I don't know if it's the best way to turn on Cosmogoyf, but it is like actually
how
a really
is
good
it,
card.
card.
how is
Modern,
it not though? How is it not the best thing to turn on Cosmogoyf in standard? That is,
Because it's just like
Uh,
1 card a turn, right?
it's
It
1
feels
card
like
a turn.
Goyf grows
It's
very,
very slow.
slowly, and you
can
gotta
play
be
Saj's
exiling your
Chocobo
own
if you wanted to do
graveyard
this,
with it.
Chris.
So you can't even use it as graveyard hate because you gotta exile from your graveyard. So if you use it as graveyard hate, it's not growing the Goyf. So I mean, I think
But
you'd
it's
play it in a
versatile.
Goyf deck, but
it's versatile, is it not? Because then the
Okay.
vacuum then allows me to pick off your stuff as well, while also picking up. And if you don't have anything, then I'll pick off my stuff. So I'm furthering my game plan and also able to shut off your game plan
Okay.
because there's Tursas, Oculus, lots of your
Would
like
you
not.
rather
and
not
Ghost
play
Vacuum's
Ghost
a very good
Vacuum
card, no
and
doubt.
Frenzied Baylot, which is a double green 3/2. This spell can't be countered. Trample haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. Grizzly Bear
Is
Man, I
this
can't
card?
believe-
Oh, hold on. I'm surprised you like this card.
No, I don't.
I
But
think
I would
this-
play this over Cosmogoyf paired with the Ghost Vacuum, right?
wait, is this card not good? You guys don't think this card's good? Is this card not really good?
Okay, so do you want to? All I see here is a 2 mana, 3/2 with haste.
Yeah.
Is
That's
that
all
not
I-
good?
I mean,
No.
not really.
But
Right,
you
like,
smack
you-
them. I guess
Sure.
it's bad with station because it has haste. So yeah, unplayable. I don't want to station with it. So, but it has so much text on it. Wizards
Okay,
It's a counter card.
Wizards
Like, if-
explicitly said they're trying to bring back mono green aggro in standard. So I
This is
actually
not-
have hopes that maybe
This is not
maybe
a
we'll
stompy
get there.
card. It's so bad.
Mono green aggro would be obviously the shell for this, and I think it's where it's intended to go. But like, as of right now, I do not see many reasons why this would be good. Like, this is not going to single-handedly put mono green back on the map, right? Mono green needs a lot of help in that department for mono green aggro to be back. Like, the Strangleroot Geist was better than this card because Strangleroot Geist came back, right? So
Put some
this is
respect
just
on
a
that.
one.
That was a powerhouse.
It,
Oh, trust me, Richard. We know you love Strangleroot Geist.
it is fair that none of its abilities do a ton in the current meta, right? Like there's not a ton of decks that's going to be countering your Frenzied Baylot.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of fogs in the meta. So even though it has a lot of text, a lot of that text doesn't really do a whole lot in our current standard format. But I still think
In
in
the-
the 3/2 hate trample haste is that's a body. That's a
It's a
threat that
body
deals
that also
damage.
It trades with
Directly
everything.
trades It trades with everything. It trades with Cecil. Cecil like stonewalls this card easily too, by the way. And
Okay.
I will say that this card I just feel like doesn't do enough of anything, right? It's just a 3/2 with haste. And please, before anyone's like, but Krim, you're a control player. This is terrifying. Dude, there's been Cavern of Souls. There's Voice of Victory. You think this guy is the worst I've got to deal with? Like, I'll take that every time. I can cast spells on your turn, whereas Voice of Victory just shuts that off entirely.
Well,
This card is so bad though. It's double green, so it's hard to cast. It's 3/2, so it trades with everything.
No.
And then like it doesn't even matter. Like it has to be like blue-black control or Zora's control is the top deck in the meta. And on top of that, you need like a 4 or 5 drop with an ETB that wins you the game. So that you can force it through that it can't be countered, right? And without all those things going, it's like 3/2 trade into your grizzly bear, cool. Right? Like
I have never seen two people look at a more obvious example of power creep and just like
it
man
is
it off.
power
Like,
creep, but it
it
still
is
sucks.
It's
a 2-mana 3/2
technic-
trample haste has to be good. Even in 2025. I will not believe that just like a hasty 3 power 2 drop is not.
If it was 3/3, we'd
anymore.
be talking. 3/2, I think, makes it like stone unplayable.
The trading down is too big
It
of a
trades
deal.
down so hard, you don't even need to like muster up a defense. You just like block with any body sitting around, and you're good, right?
I
Yeah,
think that,
maybe.
like, Seth, you aren't wrong. There is power creep here at play, but it's more of just, like, power creep that, yes, there's technically a lot of stuff stapled to it, but how much of it matters is the biggest part, right? And right now, like,
that's fair.
the card...
By all the text. Let's say it was just a 2-mana 3/2 trample haste. Would you play it?
Still no, because the rest of the shell...
Probably.
The
You would
shell,
play
it comes down to the shell.
And green
right,
aggro,
Seth?
I
'Cause-
think that's a card. Like
But-
I'm assuming that some sort of green aggro deck exists. Like I'm assuming that that's a thing we can do. If that's not a thing we can do, then I mean green has sucked for 2 years in standard. So
I mean,
odds
no
are green will
complaint.
continue to suck for 2 more years in standard. But if green aggro exists, I imagine this would be good enough to be part of it. Like I'd be
There's
surprised
a
if it
become
wasn't.
immense on a creature and a teamer battle rage on a creature. Then we're cooking. Right.
If there's a Nykthos in the format, maybe the double green.
Oh
thing
yeah,
might
maybe the
make sense,
Nykthos
right?
will do it. Yeah.
But that might be more of a Nykthos thing than this, right? So like, I just think right now there's no shell. Am I thinking that this is always going to
that's
be
fair.
bad? No, I could see a world where it could be good, but right now mono green needs a lot of help in that department.
That is completely fair. Mono green very well could continue to suck. Before we wrap it up, I got to ask you about this card, Krim, because I've been curious what you think of this card as the control mage in the group. Consult the star charts. 2-mana instant, has kicker of 2. It says, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put one of those cards in your hand. If the spell was kicked, put 2 of those cards into your hand instead, the rest on the bottom in a random order. So essentially, kind of an anticipate mixed with a memory deluge once you get into the late game. We have stock up in standard. Is this a standard playable card draw spell? Is this anywhere on the stock up level of card draw for standard since it's an instant? What do you think of this as a control player?
I love this card because it's instant speed, right? And the one thing, here's where it's going to be the flavors of control, right? Jeskai control may not care about this because Jeskai wants to have Shiko get back stock up. That value is insane, right? I mean,
so it's more of a tap out control deck, the Jeskai deck. Like you're not as worried about having instants, yeah.
Yeah, the tap out deck doesn't care about this as much. Will they still play it? There's a world where yes, it's still just a solid draw spell, but like I think almost any deck that wants to operate on a tempo-y access, so like even blue-black at points, because it's kind of shifted into this blue-black flash, right? And then blue-white control can definitely play this because now you want to leave up your mana, all of that. So like I do think this is a very solid draw spell. Now, the problem is, does this play better than stock up, right? And stock up, even... I like that stock up plays well with Shiko, but blue-white still plays it, and blue-white in the current year isn't full Drago. So, believe it or not, I love this card. I think this card is really good in older formats, probably, but in standard, this is just okay. I think this is just okay for control. Like blue-white, land go.
So you think stock up beats it out in general and standard? Like in most decks, you would take stock up over this, but some decks you'd rather have consult.
Yeah, only just because, like, okay, I need to have a lot of lands, right? And the thing is, like, yes, once I get to a lot of lands, I have to spend 4 mana to do so. Stock up will always be 3 mana, look at top 5, right? And then take
Yeah.
2. That is, I have to pay an additional 2 mana to grab the second card for this. So I like stock up more still, but like the instant speed is good enough to where I could see me trying to drop stock up for it. So I'm going to try that day, like week 1.
What do you think, Richard? Stock up level?
I think the slower the format, the better this gets. Because like stock up does things like help you hit your 4th land drop, right? Like sometimes you're just
Yeah.
like, I gotta tap out to hit land drops. This thing, you're just I guess this helps you hit your land drops, but then you lose the card advantage, right? Like you can use it to dig for lands, but then if you're only using it for 2, it's not as good. But if the format is slow enough, this is far superior than stock up, right? Because 4 mana instant speed, look at the top 5, 6, 7, or whatever, get 2 is better than whatever stock up is providing. But if we're super fast and you need to be super mana efficient and stabilize the board, then stock up is better. So it's gonna depend. Both are playable. I'm curious what the pricing will be because this is a rare and stock up is an uncommon that's ungodly expensive. So I wonder how the prices will play into it. But maybe you play Consult the Star Charts as a budget alternative to stock up.
The rare might actually be the budget option. One last question on this before we wrap things up. Krim, what about the comparison directly to Memory Deluge? Because I know like in Pioneer, Memory Deluge is still like a 4 of in blue-white control decks. You lose the flashback. This is, I think, a better Memory Deluge if there was no flashback. How important is the flashback in something like Pioneer Blue-White Control? Like, do you think this is just replaces Memory Deluge in a format like that? Or is the flashback so important that you wouldn't just straight up drop Memory Deluge?
I think the one thing here is like from the last time I played Blue, White, and Pioneer, I think the flashback's very good. You need it just because,
right?
Yeah, you need it for the late game, and when you're playing like Yorion.deck, where you're up at 80 cards, you do need to churn through your deck a lot more, and being able to do it twice is better than just look at. Obviously, Consult the Stars can be 4 mana, but like you are getting Thought Seized in this format. This is getting thrown away. There's lots of disruption there. So it's nice to just have something sit in the graveyard and accrue value at a later point in the game.
That makes sense. Anyway, there's so many more cards. This set, there's so many cool cards. But we got to wrap it up for today because we're already going a little bit long. Good news is we can talk about the rest of spoilers on our next podcast. No fish mail this week, but Richard, once we get through spoiler season, we'll get back to it. How do people send in their fish mail questions?
Yep, hit us up at MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And that brings us to the end of episode 544 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So Richard Krim, thanks for hanging out. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we'll be back next week to talk about the rest of Edge of Eternities and whatever else goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, have a great week, everyone. And this is Secure signing out.